I want Canine Will to do is I want him to search, I want him to locate, and I want him to indicate. Now, if I'm looking for explosives, what do you think I want him to do for an indication? Do I want a passive alert, or do I want an aggressive alert? Passive. I don't want him scratching at a bomb because I don't want to get blown up. I don't want him to get blown up either. So it's very important that we train this all the time. Will and I, last year, we were certified by the ATF in explosives detection, and we maintain training. We do 4 days a month of detection between firearms and explosives. And in the past month and a half, Will's located 4 firearms, and we've recovered some evidence in a few homicides. So I mean, we've been busy, and he's been doing great. He thinks he's just out here playing for his ball, but in reality, he's helping solve some serious cases and putting some people in jail that need to go. Even on the narcotics side, Sergeant Dillingham's dog has done some work for some agencies that we can't say right now because they're open cases, but he's helping put people away in jail for a long time that belong in jail, doing some very serious narcotics trafficking and other things. So we're busy on the detection side, and all he wants to do is work for his ball. So he's happy to go work. So the search caller goes on so that he knows it's time to do detection work. He knows he's not doing play work. I use the 30-foot lead. I'm not telling him where to check. I'm letting him check everywhere on his own because I don't want to take away from his nose. And I don't want him to queue up on me. Will's sitting. That's his indication. That tells me right where he has his nose, there's explosives odor or firearm. He's going to stay on the odor until I reward him. I check the area and make sure there's something there. I can see the ammonium nitrate right here underground. Initially, he'd gone by it, then he cleared the area, and then he worked back to the source of the odor. So I want him indicating on the source of the odor. He's not coming off because he knows he found it. So now he gets his reward, which is his ball. He can't do anything for his ball.
Actually, about 2 or 3 weeks ago, we were in Somerset with a protest, and we got a call for with the Bedford PD looking for a firearm. He was able to locate two firearms in a suitcase inside the house, and that was the first time I've ever seen on a live call like that. So it was pretty cool to see for the first time on my side of it.
Just a quick thing, guys. I know I just heard Lieutenant Almeida say that he works for his ball. So, like I was telling you guys about the indications, there's actually 2 ways to train a dog too. So when we actually go out to Pennsylvania to go to Shadow Creek, this is where we've been getting the dogs. We actually look for a play drive, and the play drive would be them trying to find this ball because if they're not motivated for this ball, then it's going to be hard to train the dogs to do what we want because this is the reward all the time. So they really want to work to get these balls. The other way to train a dog is food reward, but the food reward way is a lot harder, and it's pretty much a 7-day-a-week job at that point because the only way that dog's going to eat is if you go out, lay a track, or if you go out, throw articles out, or shit, they're going to eat. But that's how they eat. So for the dog to do that on a food reward, I'd have to lay the track and go put his 7 cups of food at the end of the track, and then that's how he's going to find it. And I'd have to do that every day, or I'd have to go put out an article and then have him find that and then feed him that way. Or for the detection work, I'd have to put out a hide and have to feed him that way. But that's why this play reward's a little bit easier.
And imagine trying to go on a vacation and stuff like that, and worrying about feeding. You know, it's the ball reward's the best thing. The ball, actually, all these dogs, when you pull out a ball, it's well, obviously the place to the sleeve, the drive is very intense.
Balls like
That's how we train our canine officers too.
Yes.
I don't know. I think so.
Otherwise, we have to feed them.
I think some of them are feed reward.
Yeah.
I've seen these guys eat. I food rewarded them.
All right, guys. Yep. If you could just huddle around this side. I'm going to bring out canine Sharpie. That way I can show you guys the aggressive alert.
That's your dog?
That's my dog.
Bringing Sharpie out.
Yeah.
This is the dog that none of them trust. I can outrun you.
She's never seen a dog chase me. Shoppy's all business. He's a one-man show.
Sharpie
Nope.
is a little bit different personality than Will. Just
When someone says that about you, that's not a compliment. I mean, he's got a different personality.
And not all of them are like that, because if you notice, like Lieutenant's dog is very, very social, very good. A couple of the other dogs we have are very social, that you can pet them, and then there's Shoppy, who you don't touch or pet.
or look
Hero,
at.
who you
Or,
don't touch and pet.
Sharpie, who you don't.
I got it, bro. Yep.
Most important thing with explosive training is not leaving explosives behind. It'd be pretty bad if I left explosives behind at the school. There'd be a lot of upset people.
That's the last time you'd probably see us here.
Yeah, I have a lot of explaining to do with that one.
All right, guys. This is canine Sharpie.
Canine Sharpie.
Hope your backpack's good.
I told him yesterday.
All times you guys are all right. Anything else?
Same thing. I heard I'll be the same. The indication cause. Yeah, Sharpie's going to be the same way. I already knows that he's going to stop looking for narcotics. Well, I'm going to throw this on. That way, it's just another step for him to realize that he's going to stop looking. This is what we're going to call change of behavior. See how he's moving around. He's trying to find the source where it is. See how he's going to start scratching at it?
Yeah, there we go.
That's why we're trying to get away from the aggressive alert. He's a little more destructive. Oh boy, where is it? Oh boy, show him. Oh boy. Oh boy. Good job, buddy.
Good job, Sharpie. Good job.
You can play.
Boy.
Good boy.
So what was in? What'd you hide?
We put out cocaine.
Okay. Don't leave that behind either.
Funny thing too is, even
Drugs and
though,
bombs, not a good idea.
even though Reed explained that you guys told yesterday about us coming and things that we do, even if you had something in yesterday, you would still detect it. And tomorrow, probably next day.
Guys, I don't know much about the detection side either. I'm just learning that. I'll be learning that next October, and we'll see how that goes. But if you see why we wear gloves, is you don't want to contaminate any of the hides, they call it, with human odor. So every time you put out a hide, we wear gloves. Every time you take it back, you wear gloves and put it away. So that way, too much human odor doesn't get on it, and then they start checking human odor versus the actual drug or explosive that they're actually triggered by. Cool.
Besides that, opposite issue would like to wear gloves.
Yes.
They match his eyes so well.
And if anybody would, it would be him.
You're not putting
Alright,
this.
guys, so now we're gonna go over the stuff that y'all want to see. Control side of things.
Whose dog's doing that?
Actually, probably gonna use stream. Figure it out. Can any of you guys tell me anything related to control wise? Like what does control mean when I say control? Right. Huh? No, just what, like if I say we just did the narcotics side, we just did the EOD side, but all these dogs are trained control. What do you think I mean by that?
Like search for arrows?
Yeah, we area search. We do area searches. So an area search would pretty much be, a lot of times, for some reason, PD don't get calls right away. So, I mean, how far do you think you can run in an hour? Probably pretty far now, right? Probably almost made the other side of town. But so they'll call us that late, and then kind of give us like an area. They're like, hey, this is the last area known, but it's been like an hour. So we end up doing an area search, would be almost like a yardie yacht type deal. Make sure they're not down somewhere over there. That is one aspect of it. Anyone else? I mean, we gave you one of them. Tracking. I'm gonna say tracking.
Tracking.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Tracking is one of them. So, what I mean by tracking is that's the other thing. You take off somewhere, you run out of a car. The police are after you. They end up in the you end up in the woods. Usually, cops don't like to go into the woods too much because they don't want to get dirty. So
Can you also go?
guys?
I got it, bro.
So,
You
we
sure?
run out into the woods, and that's what we're going to do. The dog's actually snug if you know it. Whether you like to live or not, you want to go a little bit of fear over them. You're like, oh man, I'm going to get caught. I'm not going to jail. So you're on a little bit of afraid. So they actually are tracking the fear order that you guys are doing. And pretty much what they do is they follow that order all the way. 30 pounds. There is one other thing. So article searches, you guys drop keys, clothing, anything like that, they will go out and find that. We are going to demonstrate that in a little bit. So we're going to draw up 3 articles with all the canine heroes, and next we'll find that in that area. So that's pretty much 3 main control functions that our dogs perform. You guys want to pass this around? This is our white suit.
Who's going in it? Who's the real question? Who's putting this
Zach
bad
just
boy
said
on?
you would do it. I gotta buy him.
Just to let you guys know, the bruise that I have right here is actually probably about 40 years old from the dog. Through that white suit.
I'm gonna grab the light sleeve.
Okay, brother. Thank you very much.
So,
Check that out.
it's not Kevlar.
They look a little
It's
big
almost
for
the
your
same
floor.
stuff the fire.
A little big.
Firefighter jacket.
I know there's, well,
It's
they
just
have
got
to
a lot
stop
of
a dog
layers,
from
like,
biting
very
you.
well put together.
So it's gonna,
Again,
Yeah.
don't get it twisted. You can see it sometimes.
a little tall for you too, Ethan.
Yeah, we'll get, the lieutenants, sergeants, and Philippi's arms too. They're all bruised up. You can definitely feel it.
Wait, can you grab my rubber arm? Yeah. All right, so we're over here giving you all this stuff.
So you can pass that.
So-
This is a different sleeve too. Check it out. You can put it on if you want.
Speaking for the team.
Bro, put that thing
Come on,
on, bro. Suit up in this. Let's go. We told you you were going in it. You weren't kidding.
There you go.
Zach, you better not.
Yeah.
You better not keep that on too soon.
Zach's like, okay, yeah. I used to like her.
All right, so this black thing you guys pass around, that's gonna be a leg sleeve. So how you would put that on? So undo it. It's not pretty. So you undo this.
Now imagine running.
So this is actually gonna be a completely different exercise. So what you're gonna do is just put. So what I usually do is I throw this on my leg like that. Yep, and then just velcro it back together. And then you want that right where it says Ray Allen. There's a handle right in the front. Right in the front. And then just spin it to the front.
Everybody get a chance to see the jacket?
Yep, just
Everybody
like
else
that. And
wanna
then
put it
there's the sandal.
Try it on, see how heavy it is? Can I put it on?
Yep.
Yeah,
that's the way
absolutely,
you
yeah.
gotta do it. So you see how all the rings are kind of made where the fabric's sewn in a little bit more. So that's pretty much going to be a target area right there. So the way that you're going to present that to the dog's going to be here. I'm going to be holding it, or it's going to be on a back tie, 30 foot out. And then you're just going to do like almost like a knee strike to the dog, so that when the dog comes up here, he's going to come and grab it right here. So why would I want to do that when I have this?
Because they lose their balance.
Well, pretty much it's going to be a
Try that.
a target area.
Come on, you know you want to,
couple
bro.
target areas. And this is pretty much for your arms. So we like to train dogs on different areas to target because we
Now
want to
run.
the person that they're gonna
Pretty heavy.
take
So
that off.
Toby, you do not want to tell people.
Yeah.
They're all in the car. I'm not saying anything.
All right, guys. The best is one other thing around. It's gonna be a rubber arm.
So you literally.
What we call we have a.
You want me to grab the gauntlet?
No, it's fine.
Place to try and stay. It's really,
that's it. I love it.
All right, guys. So pretty much what you're gonna do with this thing. I mean, this thing's kind of sketchy when you're actually doing the decoy part, but this you really want to make sure that dog. I usually do this off the table that we have in the jail, and the dog's hooked to like a little, I don't know, 6 foot of lead, because this is kind of you don't want to do like a downfield with this because there's a lot that you can possibly screw up on this and then get bit. As you can see, I mean, they're already puncturing holes to this thing. So the reason that we have this is because most of the time they're used to this material in their mouth, and then obviously if they're gonna go apprehend a bad guy, I mean, our skin is not like that material. So this is kind of gonna simulate almost like a skin material that way. Because sometimes when they go to bite on an actual bad guy, they're looking for this, so they're kind of confused when it's like actual skin. So they're like, "What the heck is this?" And then they'll spit it out, and then we kind of need to get them to re-engage back on that. I'm sure you guys can figure out why that would be a bad look if everybody's filming us. You guys can grab on this.
So that straps to your forearm,
So
and
it's
then
gonna
you stick
strap
your
to our
forearm
forearm,
out,
yeah.
and they only grab the fake one.
That's the plan.
Better you than me.
That's when the boys become men, when that thing gets
Hey, I have no problem being a boy. I've never claimed manhood. It's pretty heavy.
It was actually not to cut the side off real quick too. Last patrol day we had, we did a gear fixation drill. So just to make sure the dog wasn't keying up on certain gear, we got in the bite suit and then we had
Oh,
people
so
holding
actually
the bite
probably
sleeve
a
so they
couple
keyed up on
So
both.
like when they're
So once the
born,
dog started
they're
keying up
actually
on the bite sleeve, we would throw it to see if the dog would chase the snake or the suspect, fleeing. And every dog went right after they. It worked out pretty good. You know, your training, it's really working.
Sharpie, yeah. All right.
0.
I'm actually gonna probably. Lieutenant's not gonna like this, but I'm gonna do a drill for you guys, and it's gonna be so the dogs learn how to work together. So I haven't done this in a while with these guys. Double bite. So, what you're actually gonna see is a little bit of team building.
What you're gonna see is.
Yeah, what you're gonna see is no. We actually do this drill once in a while. It's just for team building because we don't want the dogs to come out and think, all right, well that guy is being a jerk and I want to go after him because he's biting the thing that I want to bite. And so what we do is we set the decoy up, aka Lieutenant Almeida, and send them. So I'm gonna have Isherwood bring out 0. 0 is gonna go on the bite, and then what I'm gonna have is Philippe come out and have Roby come on the bite. And it's a little bit of team building. That way they're both in the fight and they're both on that bad guy without going after one another.
No thanks.
No, that's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys didn't discuss this on the ride down, did you?
No, we're all about teamwork. This is why they like me so much because it's just random stuff that comes through my head and I want to do. Well, something.
So the decoy, and I didn't hear Sergeant Dillingham talked about it, but the decoy is literally one of the most important things in canine. Reason being is you're teaching that dog. The dog already knows how to bite. And what you're trying to do is you're trying to clean up that bite, right? because we don't call it bites. When we apprehend
You
somebody,
say cleanup, but explain to him what you mean by cleanup.
what I mean by cleanup is as opposed to them just biting with their front teeth or biting and letting go, what we want them to do is we want them to bite with their whole mouth. So think about it when you grab something with your hand. Right? They can't grab something with their paws, obviously. So they use their mouth to grab. When they bite with their full mouth, yes, it hurts. I've been bitten, it sucks. But when they bite with their full mouth, what they're doing is they are holding, they're trained to bite and hold. So when they bite someone, they stay on the bite until we can get them in restraints. The only time we send a canine for an apprehension is if someone's a fleeing felon. So if they have a felony warrant or they've committed a crime of violence, that's the only time we use our dogs to bite. There are a lot of canine handlers that'll never, ever, ever send their dog on a live bite. And that's what we want. We don't want to send our dogs out to bite people. We want people to see our dogs as a show of force. Remember that de-escalation I was talking about? We want them to see them, and we want them to think, well, I really don't feel like getting 42 teeth and 400 pounds per square inch of pressure on my arm. Because it really hurts. Trust me. I've had it happen. Sergeant Dillingham's bitten. You work with dogs long enough, you're going to get bitten. And they bite, they hold, and then they release when we need them to release after we've made the apprehension. But most of the time we use them as a de-escalation tool. We've deployed to over 45 protests. Okay? Of the 45 protests, our dogs haven't bitten anybody. We've had rocks thrown at us, bottles thrown at us. We've been surrounded, and every single time we've gone there with professionalism, and our dogs have performed, but no one's gotten bitten because we've been able to de-escalate the situation and stop the threats from holding threats. So that the bite work side of it is you need to create that bond with the dog so they know when they bite, they're going to stay on the bite and hold, and they're going to feel confident in their ability. My job is to build the dog's confidence when he bites me. Saj?
All right, so I'm just going to touch on a couple things. I mean, you said pretty much everything I need to say about the bite work and the decoy. But pretty much the way I want you guys to think about this is if you were actually to get a live bite, aka what just happened, you're actually you're not gonna just stand there, right? You gotta think about that. You're not just gonna stand there like the dog's gnawing on your arm, so it's probably gonna hurt a little bit, right? So you're probably gonna be making a little bit of noise. Last thing we want is a passive decoy. I mean, you're gonna get them eventually. We do train on it, but most of the time, if I'm fully in his academy, I didn't really do too much passive in the beginning, but we don't really want that. We want those dogs to understand that if once they punch into the bite, that they're getting the reward by you. It sounds weird, but you making the reaction and the screaming and the kind of hopping back. That's what the dog is like. All right, cool. I'm getting something out of this. This is fun. This is what I want to do. So we want to encourage them to keep going. So you're gonna hear Lieutenant Almeida make some marks, and we call it marking when the dog starts punching in. And he's gonna scream and he's gonna leap out in pain because we want to almost simulate. We want to make it as real for them as possible. And then when he was talking about clean up the bite, we all see how this is kind of shaped in a triangle. I see how it's all shaped in a triangle. Got it? All right. So the reason this is shaped in a triangle is for that reason that he's talking about. So this is what this dog is going to see for probably the first 2 to 3 weeks when he's in the academy, just starting off, just because of the unsureness. I mean, they come over from Europe, they go to the kennels, and then they're driving 8 hours back down the Dartmouth bus, and they're like, what the hell is going on? And who's this person that I'm going home with? I just seen 5 different people that have been taking care of me. So they're kind of going to be unsure. I mean, Philippe's dog for a long time had his tail between his legs because he was a little nervous. But once you start seeing this, he started lightening up a little bit. But this is perfect for that bite because you're going to think, I mean, how's your mouth open? Almost in a triangle, right? If they're coming at us. So we want them to put them in here. We don't want them down here. And if we do, we need to make sure that when they punch in to get that drive in, that we really mock those. That way they're like, all right, that's kind of what I needed to get going. And that's kind of what they want from me. And then if they do that, then they get rewarded. We'll slip this off. So we'll call wagon wheel. They'll go run around for a little bit, hold us in their mouth. They're like, oh, cool, I just killed that guy. That's awesome. Yeah. And then we'll take it off, and then we'll come back. And then we'll do it again. And then he'll punch in a couple more times, and then we'll take it back off, wagon wheel him around, and then he's all happy about it because he gets to hold this thing. He's like, yeah, I just did my job. That's awesome. So I am going to I'll tell you one thing that you're going to see with this. So our way of taking the dogs off is probably, I feel, the most effective way because there is a verbal out, but I'm not a huge fan of the verbal out because most of the time the decoy's got to be stopped and stops moving completely. Real life, the bad guy's not going to be stopped completely. It's not just gonna be like, all right, yeah, your dog's chewing on my arm. Let me just stop moving, like I'm not in pain at all. So the way we're gonna take these dogs off is called a choke off. I'm just letting you guys know that you are gonna see the dogs.
We utilize lift off as
Yeah.
a little bit more of a political correct term, but essentially it is. It's a choke
It's a
off.
choke
It
off.
doesn't
So you
hurt.
pretty much you're just choking the dog off. That way, it kind of just lets go, let go of the bite. It's probably a more effective way to do it. I mean, like I said, the bad guy when you're out on the streets isn't going to be stopping. It's not just going to be like, well, this doesn't hurt at all, so let me just stop moving because you said that. So it's kind of a more effective way. I mean, because if we're out there and we're choking the dog off and we're verbal out, and the guy's moving around, that's 1 million, 2 million, 3 million, 4 million that she's not trying to pay me. You can pull out because my dog's not verbally out, and then I told you I had a verbal out. So the easiest way to go over there, we all have a choker chain. We just pull it up. The dog starts coming off. Give them that push command once we stop feeling them that they're about to come off. Done. Looks a lot better. Sounds a lot better. That way, if someone's actually recording us, we're like, post one time instead of the 1 million, 2 million, 3 million. And I'm like, hi, Chief. How are you? By the way, this is going to happen. All right. So I'm going to send Lieutenant Almeida out here.
About 10 minutes.
Yeah,
About 10 minutes.
okay. Yeah, we're actually.
Good.
Yeah, he's going to come out. He's going to do a little downfield on Lieutenant Almeida. And then I'm going to do some team building with Canine Robocop.
I can outrun you. I think I can outrun you.
Face.
Nope.
Mister, have you ever put the suit on?
No.
Yeah.
No, I did not. I don't want anything to happen by accident. Look how angry he is already. He knows. Oh, good God. Let the jogger go by. You can take pictures. You can take pictures. Guys, if you have your, you can take pictures.
See how Canine Robocop went and told the decoy and that's what we want. That's the team building that we need to have going on there. Those are actually real box, by the way, so it's probably going to pretty bruise up. Yeah, no, you can feel all of it. That's not good. You guys will see some good blocks in a minute when I take it off. Give him one more and then take him off, right? Yeah. She's walking on it.
Did they get in there?
He was up in my tattoo.
Right, I'll be one more thing. And this is going to be an article search spot. And this is going to be Canine Heroes. He's going to go search this area. Brendan, Officer Borders, throwing him out right now. So what you're going to see is he's going to find the human odor, and then he's just going to down on it. He's going to go on a little lay. He's going to indicate to Brendan that he found something. and then he's gonna end up getting his reward at the end.
And the article that was thrown is,
There's a cell phone, there's a knife, and I didn't see what the third one was.
Zero gets right in the tricep, dude. You just.
so whose scent is on the knife, the cell phone, and the,
So it's gonna be the human odor. So Brendan was holding on to it. I mean, I shouldn't have held on to it, but he's actually gonna find Brendan's odor.
so but he knows to find Brendan's?
Yep, he's gonna find that human odor out. And it's actually funny because there's been times we throw articles out specifically, like like a trashy area, where there's like hit bottles and stuff in there, and they won't down on it because it's specifically looking for that odor.
And how does he know that he's looking for Brendan's odor?
So what we do to train this is we'll hold on to it, what we call warming it up. We'll hold on to it for a while so our odor's kind of almost on top of it. And then we're going to put it down, and then we're going to bring the dog right up to it. Every time he noses it, we're going to feed him. That way, he kind of, every time they get fed, they're kind of inhaling that odor, so they're getting that. And eventually we'll start spreading it out like we are now.
But how would he know to search for his odor, not mine? Like if I threw stuff out there.
He would have searched for yours.
Okay, so he's just
Yeah,
finding
if it's
anything that has
fresh, if it's
humans on it.
fresh, then we're gonna
Okay, so he's looking for anything with human scent on it.
Yes.
Okay.
God, Brendan. There you go. So you just found the cell phone. You got a break, Bob?
Good boy. Good boy. So he's
You get rid of that place.
Yeah. He's got 30 feet.
I'm not gonna lie, you guys thinking about becoming a canine officer, it's probably one of the most frustrating things. They're gonna go everywhere except for where you want them to search. All the time.
So why didn't he come after my notebook?
What's in that search area?
Okay.
So usually if we're gonna send out an article search, I'm gonna tell Brennan, all right, you got from that light post to that tree, and then no farther and no less than this area, this area.
And so when you're saying that like they're searching everywhere, you know where the stuff is, right? So
if we're actually on a live call, we
I
have
know,
no idea.
but like in this particular training,
Yeah, we
right?
know where it is.
You know where it is.
Yep.
How do you prevent yourself from like guiding him when he's missing it?
The whole thing,
So you
30 feet.
Just let him
Give
go.
him the 30 feet. Like, so if I needed to search from here to that light post, I would have put him in a sit, told him I'll pull, and then I'm just gonna give him the whole 30 feet. And then I'm gonna actually physically work the area. So I'm gonna know I got from here to here. So he's got 30 feet. So I'm gonna come over here, and then you're actually gonna pay attention to like areas that he doesn't like. It's the same thing almost with like the narcotics and the EOD side. You're gonna pay attention to the areas that he hasn't like really hit too much. So when you're walking and he's on the 30 foot, you're just gonna keep going. Like, all right, I'll make it all the way up to here, and then I'll kind of bracket my way back down here, make sure everything gets covered.